the Cybersecurity and Compliance Podcast with Craig Petronella. Learn about the most current IT security threats in ransomware, phishing, business email compromise, cybercrime tactics, cyber heist schemes, social engineering scams, as well as hints and tips from leading professionals to help you prevent hackers from penetrating your network and dropping ransomware or malware payloads. This podcast will arm you with the best info to defend your network against the latest cyber crimes. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And now, here's your host, Craig Petronella.
So welcome to today's podcast. Today is April 13th. It's myself, Erin, along with Blake and Dwight. Unfortunately, Craig is unable to join us. Again, he is on vacation this week. Lucky guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Especially, it's so nice right now. I'm in South Carolina, and the past 3 days, it's been in the upper 70s, low 80s with no humidity, and I just want to be outside.
It was 40 degrees here today, and it was frigid.
What about where you are, Dwight?
Today we're at 15 centigrade, 59 Fahrenheit.
I feel really superior to people when my weather is better and really inferior when my weather is colder. So I feel so superior to you guys. I got to feel good about something, right?
I think all of our podcast listeners are going to be warm after today's topic.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I can't wait to talk about this.
You like that?
This is Blake's idea.
No, not really.
It was your idea. You came up with it.
You're giving me too much credit.
No. Don't be shy. We love a humble person. We're going to go through some of the biggest misconceptions there are out there regarding cybersecurity. And we'll also drop the link. This is actually from a USA Today post. I'm sure we could have come up with these on our own, but it's also nice to have something to go to.
They simplify really well. We have a tendency, at least I do, to overcomplicate things.
I never would in my life do such a thing, Blake.
It doesn't seem that Dwight does that, so we're grounded a little bit.
So it's funny you say that because I was thinking that too. It's really great that Dwight's here. He can help ground us and bring us back in when we start on our rambling.
When we go off into fairy tale land, yeah.
Jump down rabbit holes. You can be there with the rope like, here, come on back up, guys.
yeah.
Kind of like what we're doing right now. I'm going on a rabbit hole about Oh, life is good.
Let's knock them down.
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to read that out?
Oh, gosh, big responsibility.
I think you can do it, Blake.
The first one is that you don't have anything worth protecting.
There's so many people that think that.
And that nobody cares about your data.
Oh, they do. They do. That's why they take it. When it comes to data, I always go back to Edward Snowden. And I remember back in 2013 when all that stuff happened and people were like, big deal. Who cares? I don't have anything to hide. I don't care that the government is watching us. But I mean, it's a little creepy. There's some Big Brother stuff going on right there.
All your data is important and you give that away. That is the digital currency today, especially for companies like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat. That is the currency to them.
That data is power.
Yeah, I think people should understand this. If you don't, catch up.
Like Twitter and Snapchat, all these places where it's free to sign up. Well, there's nothing that's free, of course. We know that. Right. They get that and they sell that information to the people that advertise to them. So that basically supports the platform. And all your information goes to the advertisers. And pretty soon you look at your Facebook and starts up popping up stuff that you're interested in. Yeah, it is.
I heard somewhere the things that are free that cost the most. I heard that somewhere and it really stuck with me.
I know we talked about it, Blake, the Cambridge Analytica.
Cambridge Analytica is a data analytics company, and they were using data sets that were provided by Facebook of voters to create campaigns for their political fundies. For example, there was rumor that Trump had used them, and
there are people that actually went to court and testified about the ways that did that.
Yeah. And so Zucks had to answer to Congress about that, because how did Cambridge Analytica get these data points on Facebook users if it wasn't provided by Facebook? That was the huge scandal, because people were using this as weapons to create hate, anger, fear, and frustration at the political parties that they chose. It's pretty scary. I was actually talking about that today, ironically, because somebody asked me about it.
I just looked it up. The documentary is called The Great Hack.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You do have data worth protecting, is what it boils down to.
For sure. Everything that you give away is important and can be monetized. So take it seriously.
And actually, if you don't mind, I'm going to read the second one because I like to make this point.
Please take it off my shoulders.
Yes, I'll unburden you.
Yeah, such a burden.
So the second misconception is I use security software, so I'm fine.
Super fine. You're set. You're golden. Nobody's going to mess with you because you have security.
Just use a free antivirus and you have nothing to worry about. No, that's not true.
It's like locking your doors, but not setting the alarm.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Somebody can smash your windows open or somebody can kick your door down.
Crawl in through your window.
Yeah.
Yes.
And apparently there was a group of hackers that had breached servers of huge antivirus providers. I think there was a scandal with Kaspersky or however you say that.
Russian company.
Oh, that sounds convenient right now.
You know, we do have our XDR solution. It's amazing software. It's amazing AI. It's really great at protecting you. And I think sometimes people don't take it so seriously because they believe I have an antivirus, I'm fine. I have a firewall, I'm fine. They don't realize, no, you're not fine because these companies are always keeping up. They're not blazing the trails. It's the hackers that are doing the trailblazing. So, you know, if you have an antivirus, it doesn't necessarily protect you because it can't protect you because it doesn't know what to protect you against when there's new threats out there. So it'd be like locking your doors, but having something like XDR would be like setting your security alarm.
What about putting a key under your doormat?
That's like leaving a sticky note with your password.
Everybody checks the doormats for keys. Or maybe there's a nearby planter, right? You know, under that planter. That's what you're doing. Don't be that guy or girl.
Don't be that person. Yeah, it's important to know what your security software can and can't do. And it can do a lot, right? It's absolutely better than nothing, but it's not going to protect against new threats that we don't know about yet.
It's not going to protect you against going to a website. Security software is a layer and it can do so much. If you're going off to these different websites, passing out your information, most security software will catch, some basic phishing stuff, but they're really kind of iffy on a lot of that stuff. There's some more AI stuff, but when something hits your computer, it'll do something to counteract it. But it's all about education. I think now with everything that's out there and people are doing everything digitally now, there's so many people on board and they're doing all these different things as sales, conferencing, but security, I think, front and center now, but it hasn't been for a long time. And so we're playing catch up. Everyone is playing catch up. And that's why we're seeing all this stuff happening with regard to breaches and data gone missing.
Yeah. Let's keep the flow going. I like some of the ones that are at the bottom of the list. I feel like those are the gold nuggets that people are listening for.
We'll make Dwight do number 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dwight's got to step up. With all these data breaches, I have nothing left to protect. Mistake.
I think that kind of goes along with number 1, right? In a way.
I was looking through my spam folder one day and I got an email, and in the email was a password that I had used, right?
What?
Like a long time ago. Yeah, it freaked me out. And of course, you're going to open that when it's in the subject line. It was an old password, but besides the point. And so I open up the email and they're like, oh, we have your contacts and we have all your emails and all your email exchange. And if you don't send us 5 Bitcoin, then we're going to send your explicit pictures to your friends and your family. I was like, okay, if I had anything like that, I probably would be worried. So yeah, that was almost a good one.
They're sneaky, man.
But seriously, people, like imagine if somebody got a hold of your social security number. I could open a credit card in your name. Seriously, this one's rudimentary.
Absolutely.
You have to protect your critical stuff, your identity, your physical addresses, email. They usually can't do something serious with just one of all these things, but once they put together 2 or 3, then they can start getting.
Ah, that's a good point.
Imagine somebody opening a credit card under your name and racking up $30,000 to $50,000 in debt and you being financially responsible for that. That's life-changing. That may set back your plans to buy a house or your plans to move or your plans to do something with your life. There's solutions, obviously ways you can protect yourself because like Dwight said, it's all about a layer. They have some pretty affordable solutions for identity protection. You could probably get it through your insurance provider.
The best practice is, though, is to hold on very tightly to your your personal information and only disclose it for like a check kind of thing. If you're doing something on a site and it asks you for specific kinds of information, if you don't feel comfortable with that, then get somebody else who's probably more computer savvy to help you with that. Just take the time, because once it's out the door, it's gone.
Yeah.
I've heard of people who don't even use their personal debit cards online. They go to Walgreens or CVS and they buy a prepaid debit card and they use online shopping for that. Do either you guys do that?
No.
Yeah, that's a good thing too.
You don't want anybody having access to your money except for you.
All kinds of financial institutions, if you do deal online with online banking, credit cards, whatnot, make sure you have your two-factor stuff going on. Mm-hmm. Definitely have that, because if they need more than one place to authenticate to get you into an account, then that's going to shock them off at the head pretty much.
I don't know if you remember this, Blake, in December, somebody, I guess, stole my credit card information. I had just gotten this new credit card, not even a month before. They tried to take out $2,000 or something. One was like a betting place. How would you think I would notice that? You just tried to steal $2,000 from me. Like, what is this?
You know what I do? I lock my card 24 hours a day. It is permanently locked, and literally, like, right before I'm about to go to checkout, I will turn it on and turn it back off.
Oh.
In the app. A lot of banks can do that. Check with your bank. And sometimes my card will get declined. It'll be embarrassing for a second. I'm like, oops, I forgot to unlock it. A lot of times too, when these scammers, they purchase mass amounts of credit card numbers, they're just running through them. So they're trying to buy something on Amazon. And as soon as that card gets declined, what do? They delete that number because they've got hundreds more. I don't want to give them a reason to keep my number around.
So number 4, Dwight, you want to read us number 4?
For phishing scams are becoming more sophisticated as hackers infiltrate companies, CEO personal accounts, and even government agencies. Phishing scams have skyrocketed during the COVID-19 pandemic. Of course, they have. Anytime there's any kind of a major event going on around the world where it's a natural disaster or whatever, scammers always pick up on that stuff, right? They pick up on people's compassion and passion and willingness to help others. And in those times, there's a lot of it. Very realistic looking extortion scams are making the rounds. The subject contains your email address and a password that looks familiar. The scammer says, unless you pay up, they'll release a video of you that you took in your webcam when you visit a porn site. Don't buy it. The scammer got your email address and password from a data breach. If you're still using the combination, it's best to change your password at the very least. It's not always as simple as unfamiliar account reaching out to you with bizarre messages trying to get you to click on a link. Sometimes they use familiar faces against you, which leads to the next myth. Phishing scams are getting a lot more focused. It all depends on how much information they have on you, like your address, if they have access to stuff like your Facebook. So the more information they have on you, the more legitimate of a phishing attack they can put together on you, right? So sometimes they would be very generic and looking and go, it's a scam. Or other times, a lot of people will look at it and they'll just dive right into it because it just looks so legitimate. And a lot of people don't know about checking on links. Or just looking at when you hover over with your mouse, right, to see where this thing is going. For instance, those very common ones are the bank ones. They'll send, you need to contact your bank to do this. Please sign into your bank account. So everything looks legitimate. And you look at it and you go, okay, well, this link, this is not going to chart. Well, this is going off to some number with a bunch of characters. So we can always check that. So there's ways to check ourselves in these situations, but they are getting very more targeted, a lot more complex, and a lot more legitimate looking.
And that's one thing I've always wondered about, especially now, seeing you get a smishing text and it's like, single girl. They spell single wrong, and you're like, you really couldn't just have somebody look that over real quick. It's been 5 minutes editing this, or meet somebody that can speak English and probably do a lot better.
Well, that's the thing. They're scamming on such a large scale. If this scam doesn't work, they already have 10 more in their back pocket.
Why not be as efficient as possible? I mean, if you're going to try to scam people, you're going to get a lot more people.
I don't know. I would think that the same person that's looking at the grammar of the scam would be the person that doesn't click on it, or it isn't going to be their target.
Maybe they're using it as a way to weed out people.
Sure.
Yeah, that might catch on.
Could be. Yeah.
Also, what he was reading, it sounds exactly what happened to you.
Verbatim.
Yeah. So number 5, this is another big one, I think. My friends on social media won't hurt me.
Oh, but they do.
My Facebook got hacked and it sent out inappropriate messages to hundreds of people. And I was watching it also happen in real time. It was really crazy. And then it took me a while to get everything situated. They will hack your friend's account. And then when they hack that, then they will send out like a link or something using your account and try to get people to click on it or give them information, or they sent out these inappropriate messages. If you want to see me, click on this link. Like, come on. I actually had a lot of people unfriend me, which I don't blame them. You know, it's like, what is wrong with this girl? But I guess they didn't realize that I got hacked. I mean, I thought it was obvious, but.
The biggest one I remember is the Facebook one. Send me money, I'm in trouble.
Oh, God. If you take away anything from this, if any of your friends on any of your social media send you a message that is just completely out of the ordinary, you should, first of all, maybe be concerned about their mental health, but also don't click on anything that they send you. Message them, send them a text to a phone number. You know, that's what I do. I'll text my friend and be like, I think you got hacked.
Yeah.
But don't click on anything, especially if they're acting weird.
If you haven't talked to that person in 3 years and then all of a sudden they send you a message saying, hey, look at my nudes, click here. If you haven't seen them in 10 years and they're a high school acquaintance and all of a sudden they're trying to get super friendly.
There's that other one that I get a lot from my friends who have been hacked. Is this really you in the video? Oh man, this looks embarrassing. Anything that's trying to get a strong emotional response out of you is likely to be a hack.
My hidden inbox is full of Filipino or Asian women that are like, hey, beautiful, hey, sexy, want to be friends? And I'm like, how do you even find me? I am just a normal guy and I'm not going to send you money. So don't try.
Don't even try it.
Number 6. Yeah. Hackers are mysterious and scary figures. Ooh, yeah. I mean, it talks here about stock images of hooded people hunched over computers with Guy Fawkes masks and stuff like that. They're coming for me.
Dwight.
Yeah.
That is true. They're normal people.
The 5th of November, always to remember. Whatever they said in that movie, you know what I'm talking about.
I haven't actually seen it.
Oh, you have to see it. But no. So in one of our podcasts, it was super interesting. And we get a lot of calls from people that are like in frantic mode, like, hey, my Facebook was hacked. And I think they're controlling my phone and they're controlling my Google Nest, my thermostat, and they're making it hot in my house. And they're turning my TV on. And, you know, hacking is more than gaining access to your systems or your data. There's a whole psychological side of hacking that nobody really talks about. You know, it's a part of like, you know, like everybody knows about like, you know, like Jeffrey Epstein or something, or like, you know, some of these people that are like grooming, you know, their prey. It's the same thing. Like, you know, there is a psychological aspect to it. And the person that is, you know, likely, you know, hacking you wants to, if they have contact with you, right, of course, you know, or some form of method or to reach you, you know, there is a psychological side, and they want you to feel helpless and they want you to feel scared. And that, you know, all goes back to, you know, to them having an advantage over you, right?
In general, as a term. So when I think about a hacker, I think about someone that, first of all, either wants to do you harm, you know, in some way. Like I said, it might involve like personal harm, or not personal harm as in physical, but, you know, in your immediate circle of influence or whatever, like with your job, your family, and then there's usually some purpose for it. So the purpose typically is a financial purpose, right? Like to gain financial, you know, some money to extract cash from some financial revenue from a person and or persons. But so let's look at, I just quickly want to just get what the definition is here in Webster for a hacker.
I certainly know with all the inflation that's going around, it's not in my budget to pay hackers. I'm sure a lot of people out there feel.
Even if it wasn't, I still.
Yeah. Jokes aside, but yeah, that 8.5%, you know, that could have been for the hackers, but no, not anymore.
No, I haven't gotten it yet. Carry on. Oh, wait, here we go. A person uses computers to gain unauthorized access to data or cut through. So basically, you're getting through all the security levels, you know, like whatever. So somebody breaches or gets into, I don't know, let's look at, you know, the power grid or whatever. What are going to get in there and do that to disrupt the power? So there's usually hackers are usually dangerous. Like typically, like, you know, like they're to be taken seriously. They get in, they can disrupt network traffic, you know, across the internet. They can start denial of service attacks against major suppliers, vendors. And of course, they were doing that. I think they were blaming it on the Russians or Eastern Europe for a lot of the logistics, transports and courier systems that were getting attacked. I think FedEx, and I think there's a couple other ones. And so trying to hit the logistics chain, which is very critical to every country's ability to function, right? So they're usually, like, I would say 98% of hackers' efforts are towards financial damage or some kind of disruption where it actually hurts or harms an individual organization. Oh yeah, sure. It could be a country, it could be a state, it could be a town, it could be a school, it could be a bank, it could be a hospital. Like, I know a lot of hospitals that have been hit by ransomware, and then hackers get in, and so that's ransomware. That's one thing. Then hackers can get in as well and gather all kinds of private information. So the hackers put all this stuff together. They launch these bots internally once they've been hacked, or once their ransomware, their malware is taking effect in the network. They gather up all the private data and send it away, and then they sell it, right? Or they'll offer to say, well, like in a ransomware case, they'll say, well, we'll give it all back to you for 10 million. I've known the banks, a couple hospitals around here, got jacked for millions of dollars. So
it's probably sad to say that they're likely easy targets.
They are easy target. That's why they're easy targets that have money. Like, that's why wouldn't they go for that? And the security hygiene is notoriously lax because, especially think of an MRI machine, right? Like, don't want to, you might have like this old software on it, and you're afraid to upgrade it, or maybe not even upgrade, but when you have
something like that, or
whenever you get like patches or whatever, these updates, people just don't always update it. So, because it has the potential of making it not work, right? So, and they're not cybersecurity experts. They just, a lot of people are in that industry to help people. They just want to do their job, and they don't want to have to worry about that kind of stuff. And the hackers know that, so they use that against them. And I mean, there's literally somebody that died. I think it was in Germany, but it was a hospital patient died because of a hacker, or because of an attack. And so they know these things, and so of course they're going to go after easy targets with money. I mean, and not only do they have money, but they have to have that working, or people could literally die. So it's just,
think about all the data.
Oh my gosh,
that hospitals have too. Social security numbers.
If you get on that network,
records.
oh man, like, you're in there.
Ooh,
you're in there because they're not going to know that dwell time. And that's another thing too. This, talking about common misconceptions. I'm going to throw my own out there. Is that well, maybe it's not a misconception, but something that I think people don't realize that aren't in the industry is just how important dwell time is. If you've got a hacker in there for months versus a day, think about how much more information that they're going to get just sitting there watching and observing.
Response is critical.
It is.
It's like everybody's seen the first 48, hopefully, right? The first 48 is like the highest likelihood to capture a criminal or somebody that's missing, or what I mean? Like, that's your window. That's a really good point. All the evidence is fresh, and get on it. You need to be on it. So yeah, response time, is important. People need to realize when something's missing, or something's been hacked or something's been compromised. I mean, you have a very short window of time. Not only that too, but in regulated spaces and different like legal obligations and software that you may sign up for or that you utilize in your business. If there's been a breach of your data, you have to let your vendors know. And not only that too, but you have a responsibility to the customers that you serve to let them know. And a lot of like regulated spaces, there is a window where if you've been hacked or you have any of your data that's been breached, you have to send out an alert or a notice to your customers within a certain period of time.
So, especially healthcare, government agencies. I look at it and think about it. Okay, so all these agencies where they have typically, healthcare, I know here, they have a lot of resources to do stuff. So there's a lot of financial resources. Usually their IT departments are pretty well staffed. Really, what it goes to show me is that it's basically human error or human negligence internally that a lot of this stuff happens through, because a lot of security stuff is just best practices, right? And it can just, if you follow best practices with your operating systems, your network, your transfer of data, using passwords with, complex passwords, not leaving sticky notes in certain places, all these different things, you narrow the hole where people can breach your network to a little tiny pinhole or less, right? So that's a lot of it. It's a lot of time it's just negligence, and people are lazy. And when stuff like this happens, I don't know, but I'm sure a lot of people probably get fired. There could be people that end up going to jail, because if you're in healthcare and you don't, do your due diligence, and somebody's information gets compromised or whatnot, I mean, because of your lack of performing your duties, I mean, I think that could be, I don't know, I'm not a criminal lawyer or anything, but I would think that there's probably some area there that they could probably
negligence.
Criminal.
Yeah,
negligence for sure.
There is a vegetable that is really popular in cybersecurity, and I'm sure maybe you guys can guess, but onions, right? Like layers, right? So onions have layers and layers and layers, and then you finally get to like the core of the onion. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, you finally get to the core of the onion, and every single layer, you cry. You cry. So yeah. I mean, eventually, hackers, they're, some of them are persistent, if you have, data that they know is worth, being persistent for. But, the average Joe, me, or, people that I associate with, I mean, they're not gonna go through that onion to get my data, because I have nothing,
Right. That's it.
Or,
and that's another important thing, I think, when Dwight brought up, about people being lazy, but also hackers are lazy. Like
for sure.
They might be malicious and they might have no shame, but they're also lazy and they want to be efficient. And I think that's important to understand, is that if you do have at least some layers up, likely to get hacked, that doesn't mean you're for sure not like hackable necessarily. But then forward, if you don't like have, I feel like,
I was just going to simply say, don't be a low hanging fruit, be a vegetable.
Be a root vegetable.
Be a root. Yeah, absolutely.
New thing.
Maybe
they'll move on. Like just be like Dwight is saying, just do these simple best practices, and again, you still might be compromised, but it's a lot less likely to be compromised.
Yep.
As a start, just best practices start, and then any extras that need to be, or any precautions that need to be taken based upon your field of work, or like government. So certain departments and agencies need extra work done, right, over and above, like certain ISO standards, NIST stuff, whatever the case may be, right? So, but just basic best practices as far as hygiene goes will keep 95% of the garbage.
Be number 7.
Number 7. I only go to mainstream sites, so I don't need security software. Now, take that. You need security software no matter where you go. Remember what I said earlier about how social media apps sell your data to make their money. The more cookies you have in your browser, the more your every step is being followed. Multiple sites have a detailed profile view that increases your chances of getting your data breached. Since all companies are vulnerable to a data breach, security software keeps you safe. It's like two-factor authentication, a necessary step towards protecting your privacy.
You definitely mentioned that one earlier, and that's a huge one. Huge. And that's something that we don't think about. Like, I try and go in every single day. I have software on my Apple computer where it cleans everything. It cleans, my cookies. It cleans my browsing history, yada, 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 just to make my computer more optimized. And at the beginning of every day, I run it. And at the end of every day, I run it before I shut it. So that's something that most people don't do. Most people don't clean out their cookies and their web history.
If you don't mind telling us to do that.
It's called Clean My Mac.
Okay.
I've been using it for a while, and it's pretty solid, pretty affordable. I've been using it for a long time. And yeah, there's other solutions out there. I think one is CC Cleaner for computers. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Super good. And yeah, something like that, most people don't think about.
True.
Erin, back to you.
Oh, well,
On the spot.
I use complex passwords. Gosh, there's so many things. They're so complicated, or not complicated, but they're so important. They're just so important. It's, like if you use the same, even if you found a good complex password, 'cause I used to do this, right? I'm like, nobody will ever guess this, right? So of course I reuse my passwords, but then I learned why that's not a good idea. And I guess I kind of liken it to, it would make out your keys, like making like keys and just leaving them around the city or something like that. Like if you reuse your passwords, password, I mean, you're really asking for it.
I saw this one, like I'm in this like little high tea like meme page on Facebook, and me and Jonathan love to laugh at those. But there was this one video, and it was like posted up on like a little billboard or like a public notice board somewhere, and it said free Wi-Fi. And then, at the bottom, it had like a little area where you'd rip off, the Wi-Fi password, like, had a little arrow that said, hey, take the Wi-Fi password. And then somebody would go to pull the password. And then I don't know, but like an endless roll of like numbers, letters, characters. It was maybe like 30 or 40 feet that would come out. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so accurate. It needs to be accurate. Like, no, this person like was crossing the street and the paper was still rolling, So yeah, I mean, complex passwords, like there's such a misinformation about what is a complex password. Of course, like everybody's like, oh, numbers, characters, letters, an uppercase letter, a bunch of lowercase. Yeah, I mean, don't reuse passwords either, but even if you are using complex passwords, it's still not enough to keep you safe. For sure. I mean,
and you can't leave them hanging around either. Even them in text files here and there, or even sticky notes or whatever. They can be
sticky notes,
characters long and look like gibberish. But if somebody can pick it up and take it and go with it, then it doesn't matter if it's 23 characters long, right?
Yes. Sticky notes are not password managers. They are not.
Anyway,
get this through your head, please. Do yourself a favor.
You to understand.
Don't use a sticky
note
on your computer either. Like, you use, make sure your passwords are either in a password manager like LastPass, something secure, right?
Yeah, Gatekeeper.
Something, nice and secure. And so, that way you'll know, right? That, okay, yeah, I didn't save this. So, I mean, you feel a certain level of, but if you just, like you said, if you're just casual with the whole thing, I'm just going to write my password here and just save it here on my desktop, and and then it's called password file.
Yeah, password.txt. It's a shame to say, like, whenever I do an on-site, and we have customers that have been with us for years, I have to say it because people need to know. And I'll go in and they've done all of our security awareness training. Like they are up to speed, like they've passed, they've got their certifications and security awareness and yada, yada, the latest cybersecurity news and things they need to pay attention for. And then I go into their office and what do I see? God. A sticky note on their monitor with their password.
And then you go over and look at them and wink at them, right?
No, I do what I'm supposed to do. I take it and I rip it up and put it in the shredder.
Yeah.
and then I sigh because they know exactly what they're doing. And it's like we talk about this. Like we preach this. You can't do that. And they're in regulated spaces too. No. Like, yeah, no, I mean, I love this customer. They're one of my favorite, but yeah,
you need to do better.
I'm disappointed for sure.
You need to do better.
I hope they're not listening because they might know. They might call me right after this airs.
Names, but we are saying you need to stop that. Stop with that nonsense.
Yeah. No. I mean, I'm sure there's more than one, and maybe I just don't go to do their on-sites or something, but I'm sure they're not the only one. They're just the only one that I know about. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the sad part, I need that. So let's do number 9. I know a fake voice when I hear one.
Because you know what? I'm going to take over real quick. When we did
Please.
our spoofing, right? And you did this too, Blake. When we called the employees at the financial institution. Well, actually, I didn't even call. You made the calls. You and BJ made the calls, and you actually like talked somebody into like clicking on a download button, right?
Yep. I did.
And they actually have really good training.
Some locations
better than others.
Some
employees better than others as well.
Yep.
They, I mean, if you're in a business with, even just 10 employees, much less like 500 employees, you're going to be able to trick somebody.
For sure.
You don't know if a voice is fake.
It only takes one.
It
only takes one
especially
person.
Blake talking into his mic. You're not going to say no to that voice. Like, come on, let's be real.
It only takes one person to compromise your whole business.
Absolutely.
But no, seriously, like imagine the 10 or 15 years that you spend growing your business, 5, whatever, insert your, tenure here, your life here. It only takes one hack to take you down.
Yeah, what's that statistic? How many? I think it's something like 95% of businesses are hit with like a successful ransomware attack.
Small businesses. And the average cost of remediation for that small business is around $3.6 million.
$3.6 million. And people complain about the price of cybersecurity, especially if it's not free.
Oh gosh.
but it's so like, and what is it? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It's so true in this too. And people are like, it's not going to happen to me. They're not going to go after a small business. Yes, they are, because they know that you think that way.
Because you're the low-hanging fruit. You're not the vegetable. I mean, it's sad. It really is. I hate more than anybody to say I told you so. I can tell you we've responded to RFPs, requests for pricing, and we've accurately responded to them and given them a perfect solution. And then they go with another vendor, and that's fine. But later, I mean, years later, I mean, this has happened on more than one occasion. They come back to us and say like, oh, I've either outgrown that IT provider or there was an incident, and they weren't able to respond to that incident. And then we're at ground zero with them. And, it's hard and it's frustrating. And I never say, I told you so, of course. I mean, that's the worst thing that you can say, but it's so hard for us to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, it's so much easier.
It really is. And it's tragic.
A steady foundation than it is to, start trying when it's already built.
You are not going to build a house without a foundation. Most people, they just build a house and they decorate it and yada yada and furnish it and make it look beautiful, and that's your business, right? There's no foundation there, which needs to be cybersecurity.
And all right, Dwight, if you want to do number 10.
Number 10 and the finale. I will know when something bad gets in my device.
Oh my God. No, you won't.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess so anyway, it's on the list. So cyber criminals' work is stealth. When they're doing deeds, there's no red flag that pops up. They have intricate ways of infiltrating your data. There would even be Trojan horses in the form of viruses lurking in your code right now. Now that you're aware of the 10 most common cybersecurity myths, you're better equipped to recognize misinformation spread by hackers who want to keep you vulnerable. Remember, your data is worth a lot to cyber criminals, so take steps to protect it. Make sure all your gadgets are up to date with all security patches needed to fend off online attacks. Make use of robust security software, password managers, and two-factor authentication. Most of all, follow news on recent breaches and hacking trends to keep your security tools reliable and timely. And of course, then it goes on to promote that particular site. But yeah, so, and an end note, no, you won't know necessarily if something's hit you that's bad. Sometimes you may, but your things can stop popping up all over the place. But yes, that's usually malware. But when it comes to hacking and stuff, like basically your whole device will get encrypted, right? And all of a sudden you can't do anything. You can't log in. You can't do nothing. Or all of a sudden you look at your bank account and there's no money left.
Yep. Right? And that goes back too with the dwell time, right? With the
With the
dwell
what?
time.
Yeah, the response time. Yeah.
How long is that person, that criminal, going to be in your computer just collecting all the free data?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that can be said about this, but if somebody, I'm trying to think of an analogy here, but if somebody's stealing money from somebody's wallet and they're taking $20, let's just say they're taking $20 a day or $20 a week or something, and that person overlooks it. One day that person is not going to go in there and take everything, right? Because they just burned their scam to the ground. They're of dishonesty. Yeah, I guess that's the right word to put it. They're burning their scam to the ground. So, what's more profitable? To take $20 a day or $20 a week or whatever, or to take $100 one time, like what's more profitable? So, and then, I mean, how are you really going to know when somebody gets into your device?
Unless you have XDR.
Yeah,
I mean, really, that's how you would find out generally.
Some IT guys have, I know we've done some testing and stuff with the internal IT and some sandbox computers and whatnot. And sometimes you don't notice it, other times you do. It depends what's there and what they're accessing. It can slow your computer down a lot. Like if they're transferring, if there's a lot of data transfer going on back and forth. Like I said, it all depends on what type of activities are happening on your system. But typically for basically people that are stealing your financial information, that want your information to gain a financial gain, they're very fine-tuned organizations. They're usually not just a single person. If it is, he's bought something from some other reliable group, right? And then they have a well-renowned or a well-oiled machine for going into computers once they've gotten in through some kind of a security breach or whatever, and they go in and they're quick. They're usually pretty quick, right? They'll check something, and they target specifically usually too, like banks, credit card companies, health institutions, places like that, or places where they can gather information at a time and or a lot of financial sources at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, it's not always a pop-up from Windows technical support, and then conveniently when you call them, they have a super heavy accent and they're saying, "Oh my gosh, your system has been breached. Let us fix that." Okay, run this software on your computer, and then go buy a bunch of gift cards, I mean, what's sad is it still works. It still works.
Hear my relatives doing it. Oh yeah, I got someone on to help with my computer the other day. What do you mean you got someone on to help with your computer? Oh yeah. So something popped up on my computer, said that wasn't up to date. So this person jumped on remotely and helped me update it.
Microsoft doesn't have time to hop into your computer and fix it. I don't know. I've never heard of that.
But not the way to do things. That right is protocol. No. Right? These companies just don't do things that way. That's like your bank is not going to send you a request to update your online account information through an email, right? It's just practices and protocols. They're just not. And some people are just dumb. They just. I don't mean dumb as in a person, but they're dumb as to like what's going on around them, and they don't consider it or take it seriously, or they're just indifferent. Is that the word? But then again, usually what happens to them, those type of individuals or organizations, is they get burned bad.
Yeah. So. And a lot of people just aren't tech savvy. They didn't grow up. They didn't grow up in technology like I did, or you guys.
Oh no, I am not tech savvy. I'm not. Like, I had to learn. I didn't learn about this stuff until I started writing about it. I mean, honestly. So I feel like sometimes I have the of a lot of customers because I was that person. So I get it. I mean, you just don't think about that kind of stuff. Like, you're like, oh, what, why would they want to do that or whatever? Like I told you guys the story about how I probably got a virus on my ex-boyfriend's computer because I just didn't know, he's like, oh, you probably like, and I'm like, no, I didn't. But thinking back on it now, like, yeah, I probably did. Just did not.
No, Erin was clicking on one of those things that was like 10 things you don't know about these celebrities. What? Or like, oh, you won't believe what happened to these 5 celebrities.
Probably more like, click on this to get something free or whatever.
Oh, here I literally scrolled down to the bottom of this website, and I see some of them as like, she was a legendary actress. Today she works a 9 to 5, and it's like, who is it? I wonder who that is. You know,
Lots of things that drag you.
Or here's one. How would you react if Georgia got hacked? This game simulates geopolitical war. What would happen if another country invaded Georgia? And then on the map, it has a picture of France. So I think
these hackers can get their stuff together, man. We're all in trouble. Like,
here's another good one. Look at this celebrity before and after their weight loss. And then there's no pictures. It's just a blank one. So they want you to click on it and see who the celebrity was. Come on, don't.
Your whole computer blows up.
Oh, I'm sure it'll just explode, and the only thing that'll be left is the keyboard. Absolutely, but seriously, I mean, I think we definitely have a long way to go.
Yeah,
like as humans, we're all imperfect creatures, and there's nothing wrong if you're doing any of these things. You just need to recognize it and change it
before it's too late.
We're here to help. I mean, we're not making fun of you.
No. In fact, I genuinely care to you because I get it. Totally.
We genuinely care. And, the more onions, the more layers, right? The more impenetrable, I guess, is nobody's is unhackable entirely, of course, but, hackers, they just want to go for the low hanging fruit.
You don't want to spend hours and hours trying to get through, 10, 15 walls of defense, right? Now, there are some that do, and they're probably targeted and financed by an organization that's very, deep pockets. And of course, that's their job, right? But for people that are just out there on their own or small little groups or whatever the case may be, and they just have a list, they're not going to spend, like you said, people are lazy, right? Mm-hmm. The path of least resistance. So, okay, big line here. Well, I'm going to spend like an hour and a half or 2 hours trying to get into this computer when I can go through all these and probably get in and have everything done in 5 minutes or less, right? So,
I've realized too over the years is that honestly, if you think about it, I feel like efficiency and laziness kind of go hand in hand. You try to increase your efficiency so that you can be more lazy, or so that you can get more stuff done and get things automated. And I'm sure it's the exact same thing for. They're just trying to be as efficient as possible when it comes to getting your data, because big data is big money. It really is the new currency. Like, who needs Bitcoin? Let's get data, y'all.
Everybody wants an easy paycheck, and nobody wants to work for it. That goes back to human condition. If I could sit on the beach and do not, and live a life of leisure, that'd be great. And I wouldn't have to do anything for it. That'd be even greater. But everybody wants the easy paycheck. And are they wrong? I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there that wants to work crazy hard for if you don't have to. That's right. So we should probably leave it off on that. I felt like those, we really came full circle here. Do you think we should tease the next topic?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's tease the next topic. I like that.
I'll leave that for you since you're the topic queen.
Well, I don't know if I would call myself that, but this is another one of Blake's ideas, which I really like.
Oh, come on.
It's up to me, so now the truth is out.
You make it sound like I'm the only one working here.
You want off work, right? So,
Craig, do you hear that, Craig?
No,
are you
listening? He's enjoying his vacation.
He's on that beach that we were talking about.
He's talking with his kids, listening to podcasts because he's like, So our next topic we're going to talk about next, we are going to go through, it's going to be similar to this, right? But instead of talking about misconceptions, we're going to go the opposite way. We're going to talk about some of the data and statistics that we found that is just completely eye-opening and that we think is really important for people to know. So actually, Blake, do you want to give maybe an example now?
Let's see here. So identity theft is up 42% in 2020. Let's see, 6.95 new phishing and scam pages were created in 1 year. 3 out of 4 companies experienced a phishing attack in 2020. And 25.6% of all web traffic was made up of malicious bots. 25.6%.
Oh my gosh, that's.
And ransomware attacks grew by 40% just during COVID, which, as if we don't have COVID enough to worry about.
Exactly.
But and the huge ones, the hugest sectors, right, are finance and insurance, and then manufacturing and energy, and then retail, and then professional services. But 23% of the hacks make up financial service providers. Yes. And this one's pretty important too. So we're going a little beyond the teaser here, but IBM says that your cybersecurity budget should be at least 9 to 14% of your overall IT budget.
Oh, that makes sense.
So the millions of dollars you're spending on computers, set some aside.
Really good point. I mean, I think a lot of, and that's something I learned about with CMMC, is that they make it a point to okay, in your policies and procedures, you need to, I think it's after maturity level 3. So actually this might be old, but anyways, they want you to set aside an amount. They want you to write down the amount, to show we are taking this seriously. If you think that you're going to, you're going to spend all this money on gadgets and devices, but you're not going to protect it, you might have your priorities a little askew there.
Here's another one that I have to say, it's just going to explode out of me if I don't say it, but there's going to be an estimated 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs by the end of 2025. There is a shortage of good guys that are protecting people like you. There's a shortage, and hackers know that, and they're cashing
there's not
in.
A lot that I regret, or I try not to regret, but sometimes I think if I had to do it all over again, I would go into IT and cybersecurity, because it's such a underserved.
It's never too late.
No,
it's never too late.
But I already have my master's. I'm good for now. For a little bit.
I think Judge Judy became a judge at age 50. So
and
you're
she's
good.
A billion.
Yeah.
And she's mean.
Yeah. She's I've seen her on Instagram. She's pretty inspiring when she's not being mean.
Really? I find that hard to believe.
For
I'll
sure.
trust you, but I find that hard to believe.
She's getting me motivated for sure. And blanked there, but the guy from, what's his name, Steve Harvey, comedian, pretty inspiring too.
Oh, well, that's good to know. He's funny.
We're gonna save the rest of this for next week, because there's some good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's for sure. Next week? We're waiting a whole week?
I'm sorry. Tomorrow. Next podcast.
That's okay.
Sorry.
I was what are we doing? Are we all taking a break? Are we all going to go on vacation?
On that beach.
Let's go show up wherever.
I'll see you. I'll see you there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. He'll be like, where's your microphone and where's your podcast? Left it at home.
All right. Well, yeah, good talk.
All right. It's been a pleasure.
This was a good one. Fun one.
Have a great rest of your day, people.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Cybersecurity and Compliance Podcast with Craig Petronella. For other episodes and more information, visit petronellatech.com. Also visit our other websites, compliancearmor.com and blockchainsecurity.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for listening, and stay secure.